This is a video in which we are going to look at persuasive techniques as they are applied to political advertising and campaigns. Last week we looked at persuasive techniques as they're applied to commercialism. In this presentation and this week we are looking at persuasion in politics, where the stakes are higher and the impact is greater. So it's natural first to question the ethics of this. There's a prominent politician actually a whole family of politicians, the Stevensons, and Adlai Stevenson, as the governor of Illinois and a U.S. presidential candidate and an ambassador to the United Nations, gave this thought. The idea that you can merchandise candidates for high office like breakfast cereal, that you can gather votes like box tops is, I think, the ultimate indignity to the democratic process. And his words offer a great wisdom, but that hasn't changed the fact that much of our political process is a bit like breakfast cereal advertisements. So let's just review quickly what some of those techniques are. First, we have bandwagon. Everyone's doing it, therefore I should too. Everyone's voting for a certain candidate. Everyone knows so-and-so is going to win. I'm going to vote for him. Expert testimonial. This is the idea that someone who knows what they're doing is going to testify on behalf of someone, probably a bit like President Clinton endorsing Obama after his wife was finally defeated. Testimonial, same kind of thing, but it could be the average person. I approve of this person, this candidate. Plain folks is when a person tries to look like the average Joe, the average person. And you see this when political candidates do things like watch the Super Bowl, and they look like their lives are just like yours and mine. Of course, we know they're not. Appeal to emotions. This would be the emotions of pity or sadness or fear or inspiration. Lots of emotions that can be invoked in a political advertisement. Snob appeal. There have been candidates in the past that were considered too scholarly and erudite to be elected. Certainly, we want someone who knows what they're doing, and that might kick in here. Loaded words. We have lots and lots of jargon and lots of words like, say, freedom, liberty, that wouldn't have different meanings to different people. Repetition is a technique that would be used in politics, as well as if-then. If you vote for this candidate, then this will result. Stacking, and that would be the review of statistics and facts, and a candidate's record makes great fodder for that type of technique. So let's take a look at some examples here in different contexts. How are these techniques used in political campaigns? Here's example number 1. Hillary Clinton running for president, and this could have been our past and could also be our future. Would you vote for Clinton as president? 57% say yes. What technique is being applied here? Try this one. The facts about President Obama's economic record, January 2009, today, and the change here, and this is on for unemployment and national debt, the price of gas, etc. What technique is being used here? Example number 3. This is an ad for Mitt Romney, contender in the 2012 election, and he says, I forgot where I worked for 3 years. I forgot where I put all my money. I forgot that I outsourced jobs. I forgot that I invented Obamacare. I forgot how much money I made. I forgot I bullied kids in school. I forgot how many I left jobless. I forgot what America stands for, and I want to be your president. Mitt Romney, forget about it. What technique is being used here? Try example number 4. These are simply images, but what technique is being used? Bill Clinton with his saxophone, President Obama with his basketball. And here's one for you, a video from the 1992 presidential election where Bill Clinton won eventually that election.
I was born in a little town called Hope, Arkansas, 3 months after my father died. I remember that old two-story house where I lived with my grandparents. I had very limited incomes. It was in 1963 that I went to Washington and met President Kennedy at the Boys Nation program. And I remember just thinking what an incredible country this was, that somebody like me, had no money or anything, would be given the opportunity to meet the president. That's when I decided I could really do public service because I cared so much about people. I worked my way through law school with part-time jobs, anything I could find. After I graduated, I really didn't care about making a lot of money. I just wanted to go home and see if I could make a difference. We've worked hard in education and healthcare to create jobs, and we've made real progress. Now it's exhilarating to me to think that as president, I could help to change all our people's lives for the better and bring hope back to the American dream.
What technique was used in this advertisement? Now let's take a look at some additional persuasive techniques like fear, avoidance, name-calling, glittering generalities, euphemism, and transfer. Take a look at these one by one. A wonderful quotation for fear. Why, of course the people don't want war. Why would some poor slob on a farm want to risk his life in a war when the best that he can get out of it is to come back to his farm in one piece? That is understood. But after all, it is the leaders of the country who determine the policy, and it is always a simple matter to drag the people along. All you have to do is tell them they are being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country. And this quotation comes to us from someone who offers us a perspective from World War II under Hitler's regime. So, fear, a technique can be used in politics. Another example of fear from our modern, relatively modern day.
Stakes to make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
So obviously the fear is if you don't vote for President Johnson, then that poor little girl is going to be incinerated in a nuclear war. Fear works. These other examples of fear show some persuasive propaganda. This was from the Revolution, the American Revolution. Join or die. Those are your two choices. Who wants to die? I guess we better join. And this poster from World War II shows a very frightening looking Japanese man. And this is what the Japanese will do to all of our women if we don't invest 10% in war bonds. Fear works. Another technique is avoidance. And that is simply don't answer the hard questions. Talk around them instead. And most politicians are a master at this. Consider this example.
Is the leading cause of death among young black males 15 to 24 years of old. What are you going to do to get the guns off the street?
Any program, and this includes crime, you'll find we have all kinds of great plans lying around that never get enacted into law and implemented. I don't care what it is. Competitiveness, healthcare, crime, you name it. Brady bill, I agree with that it's a timid step in the right direction, but it won't fix it. So why pass a law that won't fix it? Now, what it really boils down to is can you live? We have become so preoccupied with the rights of the criminal that we've forgotten the rights of the innocent.
I want to take you back, if I can, to the question Judy asked you about some of the apprehensions people may feel about your being a heartbeat away from the presidency. And let us assume, if we can, for the sake of this question, that you become vice president and the president is incapacitated for one reason or another and you have to take the reins of power. When that moment came, what would be the first steps that you take and why?
First, I'd say a prayer for myself, for the country that I'm about to lead. And then I would assemble his people and talk. And I think this question keeps going back to the qualifications and what kind of vice president in this hypothetical situation, if I had to assume the responsibilities of president, what I would be.
And as you can see, they avoided the question. Name calling. This is the political equivalent of 2-year-olds. You don't talk about actual ideas or plans or solutions to problems, you just attack the person instead. Here's an example of an anti-Obama ad doing just that.
Of a presidential candidate. It was in front of a group of high school students that Obama confessed his youthful drug use, including cocaine. Do you want your kids looking up to a junkie, pothead? Bad decisions, marijuana, alcohol, that's not presidential material. Obama thinks the White House will be a fun trip. America, tell Obama to leave the drugs on the streets and vote for McCain.
Our president, the druggie. Glittering generalities. These are vague ideas like freedom and happiness and liberty, and we don't really know what that means. Everyone wants to improve education. How do we get there? Everyone wants every child to have a quality education. What does that mean? That's the idea here. Take a look at some of these.
Candidates come to debates well briefed and ready to offer many facts in support of their positions. However, sometimes they use broad generalities without proper proof.
I got into this race because I did not want my child to grow up to be part of the first generation of Americans to do worse than her parents. We're better than that. We can do better than that. I want to make America as great as it can be, and I ask for your help in doing it.
But the exciting thing is the fear of nuclear war is down, and you hear all the bad stuff that's happened on my watch. I hope people will recognize that this is something pretty good for mankind. I hope they'll think it's good that democracy and freedom is on the move. And we're going to stay engaged, as long as I'm president, working to improve things.
Who wouldn't want democracy, freedom, and a better life for their child? Euphemism. We are talking about polite expressions that avoid the details of reality. Collateral damage, not accidental deaths. Correctional facility, not jail. Examples of these in politics. Probably the best one would be the abortion debate. We have labels like pro-life and pro-choice, but there's actually quite a long spectrum of differences from the two extremes. So these, in many cases, these two words, pro-life and pro-choice, actually obscure any discussion about the details. Transfer. This is the idea that you can project the negative or positive qualities from one thing onto another. This might be something like who you associate with. So if you think about this picture here, you've got Obama pictured next to Hitler with the title National Socialism. And the attempt is to take all of the fear and the hideousness of Hitler and transfer that onto Obama. In World War I, there was this very famous "I want you" for the U.S. Army poster, and it's been transferred to Osama bin Laden. "I want you to invade Iraq," so that the feelings of urgency from this poster can be transferred to the feelings of urgency here. So if you put all this together, you end up with lots of different techniques that can be used in political advertisements. Here's one final example, and I challenge you to think, what techniques do you see in this advertisement?
These 4 years have brought moments I could not foresee and will not forget. I've learned firsthand that ordering Americans into battle is the hardest decision, even when it is right. I have returned the salute of wounded soldiers who say they were just doing their job. I've held the children of the fallen who are told their dad or mom is a hero, but would rather just have their mom or dad. I've met with the parents and wives and husbands who have received a folded flag. And in those military families, I have seen the character of a great nation. Because of your service and sacrifice, we are defeating the terrorists where they live and plan, and you're making America safer. I will never relent in defending America, whatever it takes. I'm George W. Bush, and I approve this message.
And that's it. Now, don't you feel prepared for the next election when many of you actually will be voting? So take all this, absorb it, and be prepared to look at different advertisements in the immediate and long-term future.